Welcome back to the Friday Fast 5. In this one I'm going to be having 5 very small rants about little travel costs that are really annoying and grind my gears. Number 1 is that at some airports now, and I can guarantee this is going to become more common everywhere, is that you can't be dropped off without paying a fee. Now this is something which was previously free and they have brought it in just as a way to make more money. It's not as if you're any closer to the airport, you're not being dropped off in a place which is undercover or anything like that. It's just a way of making money. It's £6 per visit and you can't even pay at the airport. So it's not as if you can get there, quickly pay and go. You have to prepay it or you have to pay it after you leave. Now you only have 1 day to make that payment or they will fine you. Very easy, forget about that little cost, the time lapse, next thing you know you've got a big fine. It's also not so much money that you would choose to fly to a different airport, for example, and that's I think how they get you. You might be thinking, well, why not take public transport? If you're going from Heathrow to central London, great, you've got trains, you've got coaches, etc. Visiting family for us on the other side of the country in a tiny village, getting picked up, dropped off is pretty much the only way of getting there. Just another way of squeezing those few pounds out of travelers. Another thing at the airport as well, number 2, that we have found on our most recent trips, is that the luggage trolleys in airports, which again have previously been free, you now have to pay for the privilege of using them. It is something which has always been free. They've now brought in a fee just for the fact of making some extra money. This is just, again, one of those things which is quite frustrating. You turn up, you're quite stressed, you've got all your bags, you've got kids, you've got everything else, you're trying to keep hold of all your valuables, etc. Go to get a luggage cart. Again, it's not enough money that you would refuse to use one. It is maybe a couple of dollars or a couple of euros, but then you're having to fish around with your wallet and get your card out and work out how to pay for it and hope the machine works. Not a fan. Number 3 is having to pay for parking. This is a really quick and easy way for local councils to make money. Now I get it if it's a private business, for example, but when you're in an area where there is nowhere else to park and they charge you for parking, it is very frustrating. We found this when we went back to the UK recently. We went down to Cornwall and visited a few beaches, and everywhere we went, we had to pay for parking. Now, I don't mind paying for parking if I get something for my money, but most of the places we parked were just patches of dirt. They didn't have marked out bays, they didn't have toilets, they didn't have bins, and it wasn't that cheap either. One of the places we parked at, it might have been £5 for 4 hours. Again, it's one of those things which you think, oh, well, that's not too bad. But if you're down there for a week, having to pay for parking over and over again, it already adds up. Now, when we went to Padstow, we found a car park there which actually did have proper parking bays and bins and lights and all the rest of it, and thought, oh, you know, maybe we park here. We drove in and then decided, you know what, too close to dinner time, we'll go back to our accommodation. My sister said, okay, if we're going, quickly, let's go. Because if you stay in their car park and don't park, say if you go in, you drop someone off and you leave, they have cameras on the gates, and if you've been in there for more than 5 minutes, they will actually fine you. Get out of there as quick as you can, because even though you haven't actually parked there, they may still send you a hefty fine. Number 4 is paying to use the toilet. Now this is quite a popular thing in European destinations. If you're going to a train station, for example, they'll ask for 20 cents or whatever it is to get in to use the toilets. I kind of get it in terms of maintenance and upkeep and all the rest of it, but there are plenty of places throughout the rest of the world where you can use the toilets and they're nice and clean and you don't have to pay for them. This is just, again, one of those frustrating things where you've got to make sure you have cash on you. It's just a bit of an inconvenience. When we went down to Cornwall again, so as well as paying all the money for the parking, our little one then said she needs to go to the toilet. We run across there, go to open the door, and no, you have to pay. So you're paying all this money for parking, you then have to pay to use the toilet. We had to go back to the car, try and find money. It was almost at the point where we were like, did she just do a bushweave? And some people may do that and then locals complain that it's spoiling the area, etc. I just think, let people use the toilet for free. If you're already stinging them for lots of money for parking, just let them go to the toilet. Number 5, this isn't so much of a gripe, it's just something which has caught me out in the past, which is paying taxes on top of the price that you see advertised, particularly for food. So when we've traveled to Singapore and when we've traveled to the United States, this is something that we've had to be aware of. Singapore, when we got there, we were desperately hungry, our plane was delayed, ordered our food, and then after we'd ordered everything, realized in tiny little writing on the bottom of the menu, it said tax is not included in the price of the food, and it was something like 20% more. It wasn't too bad because we weren't on a budget, we just wanted to eat, we didn't care. But when I was traveling in the States, I was backpacking and I only had a certain amount of money to spend on food each day. If I go into somewhere and think, right, I can get this, this, and this, and then come to pay for it and realize, oh, actually, it's more than what I thought. I wish they would just include it in the price as a total. Just see straight away, okay, that is the cost of it and there is no surprises. That was the Friday Fast 5. Don't worry, next week's will be on a more positive, lighter note. See you in the next one.